Hi, this is Mike Ignatoski, the creator of the GreenFox spreadsheet, the spreadsheet that uses Excel programming to make it behave like a computerized baseball scorebook or score sheet. It also automatically computes the game stats, which can be a big time saver. And even better, GreenFox can be configured to operate in one of three different league modes where it can track the cumulative stats for all players and teams in the league.
In this video, I'm going to cover what's new and improved in version 4.0. I think I have 8 things on this list. Some are big, some are small, so let's see what they are. Number 1 on the list is this welcome screen. I should have done this many versions ago, but better late than never. So GreenFox 4.0 ships no longer in free play mode, as you can see up here, but in this kind of intermediate league mode. And I switched to that because I figured most people using GreenFox are using it for a league setup. So I think it makes more sense. So anyway, when you open up a spreadsheet and the score sheet mode says question mark league, it'll show this box. And you can see it has 4 choices on it. It's a little bit of a self promotion here at the top. Then it gives you 4 buttons to click to proceed on whichever way it makes sense to you, which I think are logical choices. Either upgrade an existing league spreadsheet, create a new GreenFox league, explore the spreadsheet using free play mode, which is non-league mode, to kind of just check out the spreadsheet, especially the score sheet, and see how it works. Or the last one, which is just close this window and let me do whatever I want. I'm not sure who that's going to work best for, but I wanted to leave it as an option because that, in case you want to do something other than those three, you have the option to do that. So that's number 1. Number 2 is a feature called the League Sheet Navigator. You can see on the score sheet tab here, we've got a new purple button called the League Sheet Navigator. You click it, it opens up this window, which is a modeless window, which means it'll stay open even while you're allowed to interact with the main spreadsheet. So if I click down here on the schedule tab, I go there, but my window is still here. Anyway, what the League Sheet Navigator does is strictly offer a convenient way to go to the sheet or tab that you'd like to get to without having to find it down here in this standard row. You can see here if I want to go back to the schedule, which I'm already on. So back to the score sheet, I click that. These are under the main group. It has these 7, they're in yellow, like there is here. I go to the next stats. These are all these 9 stat sheets that are the same as these. And you can see here, if you hover on it, it'll also tell you the actual name of the tab. Like for the batter game log, it's the GPBS, the game player batting stats. So I try to make these buttons more, I guess, understandable or plain language, but they also do tell you that because on many of the sheets I try to use some shortcuts to conserve space so you can see as many tabs as possible. But anyway, so they're grouped, league setup. Then when you click on the other row, so you kind of swaps them. So the row you click on is always the bottom here. But so this is just an easy way to get to all the different sheets. And that's really all it is. It doesn't really have a new no functionality in it. Just a convenient way to get around a league spreadsheet. Number 3 feature in version 4.0 is a new, I'll say, Scoresheet AI to help you make less mistakes on your score sheet. It is a game option. If I click the game options sheet here, the last one is number 20. By default, it is on, which says it basically shows you an alert if it detects that you are likely trying to add a batting result to the wrong score sheet cell. So what that means, I had this game going. It's in the top of the third. My 85 Astros are up, and Bill Doran's leading off. And what it's basically going to do is say, whenever you click a blank bad result score to bring up the bad result window like this does, I'm going to cancel this. If I click any other blank one right now, it should give me this, I'll say, alert. If I accidentally clicked here in the second inning, well, let's just say I clicked here in the fourth inning, it shows this warning. It says, it appears you've clicked in the wrong spot. Continue at your own risk. Do you want to continue? By default, it says no. You can override it. It's not going to force you to click in that cell, but hopefully this will be enough to get people back on the right track. If you went to the preceding inning and click here, there was already some intelligence here to say, hey, there's already 3 outs in this inning. Are you sure you want to do this? And that should clue you in that you're in the wrong spot also. So basically, yeah, this one will work, but any other place here, you're going to get this same message that looks like you're in the wrong place. So there's 2 things that this thing's doing. One is when you're leading off an inning, it's seeing where you're clicking and kind of comparing that to the prior innings. You know, who was the last batter in that inning? Where was that end of inning symbol? So here, let's just say that Doran walks. Now Mark Bailey's up. I click here, and let's say Kuzman throws a wild pitch. Now Bailey's still up. Let's say he strikes out, but I accidentally, when I look at my spreadsheet, I think, oh, this is the next, score sheet. Look at this is the next blank. When I click Jose Cruz accidentally, and now it tells me that same message is saying, this looks like you're in the wrong spot. And the general logic is it only tries to figure it out if you click on a blank score sheet batter block cell. One of these blank squares on the score sheet, these big squares. If I clicked an existing thing, no matter what, it's not going to do any checking. So I can click here, or whatever. Click on Bill Doran, it'll just pop up normally. So that's how this works. It basically is going to look that you're in the right inning for the right batter, and will give you a warning if you click someplace else. So hopefully that'll help people out in preventing errors as they occur in the score sheet. And in prior versions, it would wait until you did the stats for the game, and then it would tell you that looks like you screwed something up back in the third inning. So this way it's a little more proactive, and it'll keep you on the right track as you go. In this next segment, I'm going to cover 2 features in version 4.0. One is a brand new feature, that's the whole league injury chart. And the second one is enhancements to the existing lineup editor and lineup chooser features. So let's see how this works. So in my standings for this league, I have these 4 teams in a custom league, and I go to my score sheet. I'm going to load my next game, and I'm going to pick this game between the 85 Astros and the 73 Mets. And one thing I want to mention about the injury chart feature is that it's totally optional. You can ignore it, keep track of your own injuries. It's up to you. I could definitely see this feature being more valuable in a custom league where you're tracking injuries as a maybe less so in historical league setups where you're just kind of following as played lineups maybe. But either way, depending on how you want to work your project, this feature is available to help track your injuries to different players for you. So let's say that the game prior to this for the Astros, that Bill Doran got hurt for 5 games, and so this is his first game out. So what I want to do is go add him to the injury chart. So I'm going to go to the injury chart using this handy league sheet navigator. Here's a blank injury chart, and like the schedule, it has an unlock and lock buttons to help keep you on track. So I'm going to unlock it, and then I'm going to put his name in here, Bill Doran, and it has to match exactly the way it is on the roster, or else it won't work. And the team ID is Houston. As I said, he got hurt for 5 games. This number of games remaining, I'm going to skip that. And his first game out is, if we remember this, look here at the schedule or at the score sheet. This is game 19, and this is his first game that he's out. So that's what I want to enter here. This game number is the game number for the team, not for the league. It's the team. It's Houston's game 19. That's his first game that he's hurt. So I write a 19 in there. This last game out, don't worry about that. That'll be calculated by the spreadsheet. If you wrote something in, it'll get overwritten here. So, and this note is purely optional. Let's just say it was hit on the elbow, something like that. And once I'm done, I click this lock and validate, and that'll basically make sure I've got the name spelled right and it's on the right team. It doesn't do a lot of checking with the number of games in the first game out. That's up to you. So you can see here, when it validates, it'll put it in purple if it's active, meaning the Astros haven't played all these games yet, so that's active. Just kind of for comparison, I'm going to edit one more. Let's pretend that Mike Scott of these Astros was, out for 7 games. His first game was game 5, so that's a game 7. But you see, we're already past that. So when I validate, he had a sore arm. Now, when I validate this, you'll see he ends up in gray because it's expired or passed. He's not hurt anymore. So it's up to you whether you want to keep, I guess, non-active injuries on your chart or not. If you don't, I'll just show you there. Unlock and just delete their name. You can leave the rest. Then when you validate it, it'll clear the rest out. So that's up to you. So now we have Bill Doran on the injury chart. And let's go back to our score sheet. And I'm going to reload this game since I didn't start it yet. So let's just go back to my schedule, click the game ID. And now when I do that, it tells me that I've got some injured players in this game. So it tells me on Houston Astros 85 that Bill Doran's hurt. It would list all the injured players for each team that are involved in this game, whether they're starters or not. And it pretty much, then it just says that they're going to be highlighted, and you, the user, are responsible for dealing with these injuries, basically. Click OK. So it fills in the lineups, and Bill Doran is in orange because he's hurt. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. So I can click on his name, like anybody else, and it'll ask me if I want to substitute somebody for Bill Doran. If I said yes, it would bring up this window, and I can see who my choices are for second base. I'm going to say Craig Reynolds is going to play, take his spot. But I don't want Craig Reynolds leading off, so that's what makes this inconvenient. I had to replace a whole bunch of these guys to get them all where I want them to be. Because let's pretend that I want Reynolds to bat 7th, and I want Garner to lead off in this game now that Doran's out. So I'm going to hit cancel here. And now I'm going to branch into the other feature of the lineup editing. So this button, you can see, it used to just say load lineup. Now it says load or edit. So I'm going to click this. It brings up this, it puts me on the lineup sheet. It brings me to the lineup chooser window, which looks a little different now. You can see here, it shows me my Houston lineups. I have my standard lefty and righty for my league. I'm not using the lineup 3 and 4 right now. But if, let's say, for these next 5 games, I might want to use similar ones with Doran hurt. So I have lefty and righty already open. So if I wanted to use one of those, I could click it and hit load, and it will load it into the score sheet. Although it's still going to be a problem because Doran's hurt because he's on those lineups. You see he leads off in both of them. But what I can do now is, let's say I pick lineup 4, which is in red, which means it's blank. You can see here it's blank. But I could say edit and load. And that's, if I did that, I'm going to do that just to kind of see it. I could go in here and set my players up. And then when I say save and close, I would actually put them in the score sheet. You also see that it shows Bill Doran as listed as injured, so I can act accordingly. I'm going to cancel this. Do this one more time, so because what I really want to do is show you this other feature in here, which is a lineup for edit lineup in the score sheet and then load it. So we clear up a couple things here. So if I pick a lineup that exists, I can load it into the score sheet left, because these are the only two that exist. If I pick one that's blank, I have to edit and load it. So it would let me edit it, then it would save it, and then load it into the score sheet. And that might be fine. But if it's pretty much close to what I'm already starting with, I'm going to pick one of these and then check this box that says start with the lineup that's in the score sheet now. And then when I save it, it'll save it in lineup 4 and put it back in the score sheet. So let's do that. So I click lineup 4, and so it'll save it over here when it's done. But it's going to start with what's in the score sheet. You can see if I hover on it, it kind of tells me what it's going to do. I click this edit and load. So now this is the lineup that's in the score sheet now. It's telling me Doran's hurt. I'm going to take Doran, take him out. I'm going to pick Craig Reynolds and put him in. He's going to play second. Move that up. Then I'm going to take up one more. Take Garner, double click this to put him at the top, because he's going to lead off. So now this is my lineup that I want to use for the game. It's going to save it for lineup number 4. So I can use it next game if I want to, or maybe just tweak it if I need to. So I'll say save and close. Now the lineup sheet isn't on this main one, which I may change it later, but it's in the league setup. Go to this lineup, so you can see now it saved that lineup to lineup number 4. Let's go back to the score sheet now, and it's loaded here. So Garner's leading off, Reynolds is batting 7th. I'm all good to go, and hopefully it'll help me out the next game when Doran's still hurt, that maybe I'll use this same lineup. So now let's carry on with this game a little bit. Let's say Garner walks. Let's say Mark Bailey, the catcher, gets beamed by Kuzman. So he gets hit by pitch and he gets hurt. So let's mark this injury thing down here. And however your game works, let's pretend that Bailey gets hurt for 10 games. So I'm going to first record what happened. Hit by pitch plus injury. Okay. So it puts him on first, moves Garner to second, and it puts hit by pitch plus injury. So this brings up another feature of the injury chart here. If I click on this square here, this result, it'll now ask me, do I want to add Mark Bailey to the injury chart? Yes or no? I could say no, and it'll then bring up the better result, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to cancel. To put him on the injury chart, I'm going to say yes. It jumps me to the injury chart. You can see it entered Mark Bailey, his team, and the first game out, which will be game 20. So he's out the rest of this game, and he'll be out next game. Yeah, he's going to be out for 10 games. So this is just telling me basically that. So all I really have to add is this. How many games is he going to be out for? 10. And it automatically has it unlocked for me also. So I just have to put in one number. How many games is he hurt? 10. And I could also put in a note if I wanted to. Say you got hit by pitch validate. Okay. So what you can see, it kind of and it sorts these by the first player that's coming back the soonest will be at the top. So I'll go back to my score sheet. And now I need to mark or bring in a sub. And when I bring up my sub list, you can see that Bill Dorn is in red. And when I put my mouse on it, it says injured, just to kind of confirm that's why it's in red. So I'm going to bring in Alan Ashby to pinch run and catch for the Astros for Mark Bailey now that he's hurt. So I'll say click OK. And that's that. And that concludes that demonstration of the new injury chart, how to add players to the injury chart manually as well as through the score sheet, and how you can use the new lineup chooser and lineup editor to easily or much more easily tweak your lineup, whether you want it because of somebody's hurt or maybe it's because you need to rest somebody that's typically in there, so that if your lineup is just a little bit different but you need to juggle multiple players as far as the batting order, it's much easier to do it using the lineup editor edit and load feature. The sixth item in version 4 was another brand new feature that's called League Notes. It's a new sheet. You can see it down here, and on the navigator you can get to it from here. This is a pretty, let's say, vanilla feature, but it kind of works like the lineup editor. So you can see although it has the league at the top, and then each team has its own section, and it's less protected than probably all other sheets. It does have a little help thing. If I show over here, it kind of shows you how to use it. And pretty much, like, well, these headings, you can put your own headings on. You can resize the columns on this in this area, which is more than most other sheets. You can change the formatting. You can make it bold. You can change the color. You can change the font. Pretty much in these areas, whatever you want to do. But one thing you can't do is or change the cells that have been merged. So I'll kind of show you what that means. So this yellow section, which you can change the color, is like a post-it note. It's just a big blank thing you can just write on. It's treated as one big cell. And here, I put this title of Stadium Ratings for the 73 Expos. I just put in some. I probably should write in like this is Jerry Park. And something like that. Has some stats on, maybe you want to keep track of their home stadium if you have some ratings for it. But it's just like a big post-it note. This one is a series of rows. You can see here they're just long rows. And this last section there's 5 different columns. And here I use this one for like their pitching rotation. And like I said, you can change the width of these columns however you want to do it. And you can do it, like I said, per team, or if you had something for your league that you wanted to have some special things for the league, you could write that here. So it's very, I'll say, generic or made to, hopefully it's flexible so you can make it work for you, whatever that means. There's no real interaction with the rest of the sheets as far as you could also use it if you wanted to use this place to track your injuries instead of the injury chart. You can do it here, but it doesn't interact with any other sheets or features other than just the names of the teams and the name of your league. So it's just a convenient place to write some stuff down if you want to for each team or for your league. That's what this league note sheet is. The seventh item I want to bring up in version 4.0 has to do with the standings. It's a very pretty minor thing. If I go to the standings, you can see here, and what it really only affects custom leagues that have one sub league. Let me go into my league setup sheet here, so you can see here. I just have 4 teams. It's a custom league. There's one sub league and one division. So if I look over here, I only have this L sub league, or what they call it, like the left one. The right, they're all NA, not applicable because it's kind of like the American National League. If I only have the American League, if I'm not messing with the National League, I don't need this other sub league. So that's when I go to the standings now, because it's sees I only have one sub league in this custom league, that it hides the other, the right side standings, the right side sub league, I should say, and all that. So you just see the left, which is really all you care about. So that's a minor feature in version 4.0. The next item I want to show has to do with the league leaders. It's pretty minor, but let's take a look. So go to my stats tab here, pick leaders. Here are my league leaders right now for this 4-team custom league. And for convenience, I added these buttons that let you easily get around the sheet instead of scrolling. So you can now click this jump to pitching, put you down here to pitching. See that? And you can jump back to the batting. Other thing that I'll mention, that I think I added a version or two before, but I'll bring it up here, which is this thing here, which is this for batting. There's the minimum plate appearances, and here it says, in parentheses, 18 games, which is, translates to 56 plate appearances, and down into the pitching, 18 games translates to 18 innings as the minimum number of innings pitched to qualify for certain things like ERA or WHIP, different things that are more like on a percentage or a ratio based on just an absolute number like strikeouts or home runs. And that comes up when you hit compute. It pops up this little input box where it will let you enter the number of games to determine the qualifying number of plate appearances or innings pitched. And by default, it picks the minimum number that all of games that all teams have played. So this is saying that in this league, every team has played at least 18 games, so that's what the requirement's going to be. Some teams may have played 19 or 20 or whatever, but everybody's played at least 18, so that is what it thought was a fair number to use. But if you, for whatever reason, wanted to use something different, whether it be more or less, maybe I just said, yeah, let's just use 5 games. That opens it up for maybe people who haven't played as much to be in these leaders. So if we look at this batting average right now, we have Cruz at 389. If we put it down to 5 games, my guess is that somebody else might be better than that, but I don't really know. And also, while this is going, if you have a league that has a left and a right or 2 sub-leagues, when you hit the compute button, it'll also prompt you to how you want to, who do you want to include in your leaders? Do you want to include your entire league, which would be like left and right sub-leagues or like American and National, or you could just do it for one of those sub-leagues at a time. But either way, the stats, the league leader sheet only will show one set of leaders. So if you want to just include, one sub-league, you can't see both at the same time. You have to look at one and then compute the other one, because it'll use the same sheet to do it. So anyway, here it is with 5 games. You see we're down to 16 plate appearances, and that lets Willie Mays into the game, who's obviously still getting it done for the 73 Mets at age 40 or whatever he is at this time. But so that's all I wanted to mention on the compute leaders. That it gives you that option to adjust the minimum requirements for some of those leader categories. So that's the update on the league leaders. That concludes this video on covering the new features in GreenFox version 4.0. I hope they help you out.
Well, that wraps up this GreenFox video. I hope you found it helpful. But either way, I'd appreciate any feedback, whether it's what you liked about the video or the spreadsheet, or things you didn't like about the video or spreadsheet, or ideas that you have to make either the videos or the spreadsheet to make it work better. I appreciate all the feedback. Thanks again for taking the time.